write that down.
This is a true story.
This is a true story
True story,
now. Watch out.
Some of you may know that I pastored for 30-some years, and my last 2 years in the graduate seminary, I accepted an ecumenical assignment to step outside my own denomination and serve in a congregation of another denomination. It happened to be a United Methodist church.
Oh my God.
And the district superintendent happened to be on the board of the seminary, so he was interested in having folks out of my tradition, the Christian Church disciples, do some swapping. And so I agreed my last 2 years of seminary to be an associate pastor at this United Methodist church. Now, I'd had a history of involvement in some issues in the 60s. And so I went out to this pastor of this church, which was this was in the suburbs of Indianapolis on Post Road, just a couple miles south of Fort Benjamin Harrison. So I wound up having a congregation filled with folks who were there with the Adjutant General's training programs, the Army Finance Center. So it was a serious exposure for me to be involved with all of these military personnel. And my senior pastor was an ex-Marine and Boy Scout executive before he got into ministry. So I'm coming out. In those days, I looked a little less organized. In those days, I had more hair. But I was hired to be the associate minister because I could do youth. He has a guitar, sing folk music, you know. And actually, it was a wonderful experience. I wound up, even though this was a large church of 500 or so, I wound up preaching once a month, organized evangelism structure of the church. It was really a great 2 years there. Well, while I was pastoring there, across the street from the church was a little bit of a strip mall. And a little business went into there that what we used to call in those days a head shop. That it was a place that sold equipment for those who experienced other worlds. They sold both finalia and paraphernalia. Well, the board met and decided that wasn't appropriate to have that right across the street from the church. In fact, they thought that maybe there was a city ordinance in Indianapolis that would ban that. You know, that like in my own city now, Columbia, you can't have a strip joint, you know, so many yards from a church, and so on. So, but they didn't want it. They didn't know for sure. And so they were thinking, how can we find out what really goes on in that head shop? And I was sitting there at the meeting and I realized everybody was going, what? They said, Reverend Brown, would you check out the head shop for us? And I go, I don't know, man. I said, oh yes, I'd be glad to check it out. Well, I went over there, you know, I spent an afternoon looking at all of the finalia and the paraphernalia, talking to the guys, you know, and having a great time watching who was coming in. And, you know, I don't know that they were doing anything illegal per se, but I figured out how you could get connected to per se. And kind of came back and made my report. And of course, well, we're taking this to court. So we actually did. We took it to court because we figured out there was a city ordinance that said that kind of thing couldn't be going on that close to the church building. And of course, we go to court, and that business has its attorney, and our church has our attorney. And who's going to testify? What? So here I am in the court going up to testify what I saw in the head shop. And it was a massacre. Not quite as dramatic as Alice's Restaurant, but I was sitting there and the attorney just tore me apart. Because his main point was, you church people you know you can't legislate morality. It didn't work in Prohibition, you know, and on and on. And I wanted to give my speech on all law in the United States is based on moral presuppositions. And I wanted to get a chance, because you know how the attorneys are, yes or no, Reverend Brown. You know, and I didn't get a chance to give my speech. Well, as the whole thing turned out, it was such an uncomfortable thing. It was sort of settled out of court, and the head shop decided to find another location. Well, I began to worry a bit about my reputation in the congregation. I know too much.